Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's Too Damn Hot, the Squeakquel, the part 2. It's actually Maximum News. Oh my god, it's so damn hot. The room that I'm in at my wife's place, because I have to travel back and forth between Canada at the moment until I can get proper citizenship. But the room that I work from, it's the hottest place in here, so it's sweltering. So we're gonna go through this quickly, hopefully fast enough before I die. And joining me to help me along this excursion is the one and only Sybsidian of the Triple S League. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. We do not have heat today. We have rain. Lots and lots and lots and lots of rain, which is good because we're still surrounded by fires and smoke. So
yes,
I mean, I guess it's sort of a good thing. But yeah, it's so weird, like looking outside, see nothing but rain, but also just being surrounded in like burning smoke, ash, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very weird thing.
It must be like being in one of the levels of hell in Dante's Inferno. Just
pretty close.
To have those two opposite elements omnipresent, both storms and fire. It'd be cool to look at, as long as you're at a distance. But yeah, you know, the whole global warming and or just not clearing the brush and stuff like that. We're not going to get into that discussion, though, because that's you come here because you want to avoid those types of discussions. You want to hear us talk about games. And Syb, I think it's safe to say that for this episode, the majority of the stuff that we're going to be talking about is mostly positive. So thank God for that. When we recorded our show last week, we focused obviously on the Summer Game Fest, the Xbox Showcase, and the Starfield Direct, all of which had their highlights. I think Starfield and Xbox was obviously the highlight of this whole season, and we discussed that extensively. Unfortunately, we weren't able to, I would have said fortunately last week, we were unable to cover the Ubisoft stuff. Now, normally, I wouldn't care, because honestly, Syb, to me, I've been saying for years that Ubisoft is like Diet EA. You know, they're like semi-EA. They're quasi-EA. They're the margarine of EA. They're the Diet Coke of EA. Just 1 calorie. You know, still evil, but not evil enough. But still pretty evil. And we have good reason to believe that. You know, they have the longest running project in development that's like on record with Beyond Good and Evil 2. That thing has been in development for 15 years and we still haven't seen any of it. The Skull and Bones thing is an absolute disaster. I'm sure there's a couple of other things that I'm missing. Oh yeah, Assassin's Creed Jade is going to be a mobile only thing. GG Ubisoft, G to the G. But you know what, Syb? I gotta give Ubisoft credit where it's due. They showed us a couple things during their showcase that happened, I think on June 12th, which was the day after the Starfield stuff. They showed us 2 games that I want to highlight and give some positive props to. One of them is one that I've been curious about. It's Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Now, I'm curious about it because, you know, Avatar is a cultural phenomenon. I like the movies. I like The Way of Water. I like the first one. I'm not gaga about them, but, you know, I can go and watch them and enjoy them because, you know, James Cameron, the guy behind those movies, he has his hand firmly on the pulse of, you know, like the public taste, what people like to go to the movies for. And even though I don't think they're like the greatest when it comes to storytelling or characters and stuff like that, they are great experiences. And so whenever something Avatar related comes up, it does capture my attention. And for that reason, I've been curious to see if Ubisoft was going to do something interesting with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. So we got a gameplay trailer, and I was surprised that it looked pretty darn solid. It looks like a combination of, I know, like, I say that and I'm going to say it looks like the Far Cry formula, which a lot of people are really tired of. But it looks like a combination of that plus Horizon Zero Dawn with the Avatar aesthetic. And somehow it makes it look fresh and exciting and dynamic and expansive and gorgeous to look at. I love the fact that like all the environments look stellar. I don't think they're on the level of like Horizon's Guerrilla engine, obviously, but given like we've seen how wonderful the world of Pandora in the Avatar films looks, visually stunning, like unlike anything you've ever seen in film, and we were wondering if Ubisoft was going to capture that. Well, it looks like they really, really did. Everything from the lush environments to the darker environments where like all the mushrooms and crap start to light up, or whatever the hell those things are. The alien design, those things that you can fly around on. And Syb, I was wondering whether or not I was going to be able to fly around on those dragon things around Pandora. And because they're allowing me to, I might have to pick this up. And happily, I'm probably going to... Well, no, not probably. They did say that we can play the game co-op. Normally, I'm not one to purchase any of the Ubisoft open world games, but because they tell me that I can play it with a friend, if the game ends up being good, I might pick it up and play it with my wife. Very pleasantly surprised. Although, still skeptical because it is Ubisoft. It is, it all comes down to how all these different elements come together. But what I saw, I liked. Syb, your thoughts?
Yeah, it looks great. It really does. And, makes me, do you remember the first Avatar movie and the reaction that people had after seeing it? Like the general, reaction?
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, it was huge. It was so huge that I distinctly remember hundreds of people signing up for how to learn Navi classes at the local universities and stuff.
God, really?
and it was always really funny because it was like these were the same people who in most cases ruthlessly mocked people for learning Klingon, right?
Mm-hmm. Or Elvish.
Or Elvish, or from Lord of the Rings. There's an actual full language there. Same with Klingon. There's an actual full language there that you can learn. And I always thought that was just absolutely hilarious, right? Like that people would go that far. A lot of that died out like really, really fast as far as like the people trying to learn the language.
Yeah.
Even though learning a language is never a bad thing. Learning a second language, even if it's made up. Man, if you know a made up language that you and a handful of other people could speak, that's a very good tool resource to have. So it's no shade being thrown on that.
It demonstrates to your employers just how willing you are to do certain things.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's great. It's cool. The game looks amazing, and it is one of those things where it is very thematic with the movies, obviously, and that's a good thing because this is what we want. But whether or not, I don't know if I'm that much of a fan to dive into it. It looks amazing, and if it really does play, it always comes down to gameplay, right?
Yes.
It always comes down to gameplay. If it plays really, really well, then yeah, obviously I'll be stoked to give it a try. But yeah, so that's kind of where it's I want to see this just like with Starfield, just like with a bunch of other games. I want to see it, I want to see more gameplay. I want to see somebody just take it from start to beginning for 2 hours. That's what I would really love to see. And then maybe load in a save where you're kind of midway through the game, but just so that you get a feel of where the experience is at.
Yeah.
Because it might look really cool, but the question is, in a game like that, is there enough of an RPG system there? Because the first Avatar game that they did looked great.
Yep.
In screenshots.
Yeah.
It looked really great in screenshots. And then once you get into the game, you realize, oh, this is total garbage. Right?
Yeah.
So it is one of those scenarios. I got burned on the previous Avatar game, and so I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole until I get a little bit more data on it, a little closer to release.
Yeah.
So by i.e., I'm not pre-ordering.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't pre-order in general, and neither should any of you. Even Starfield. I'm looking at you, Side. I knew how tempted you were when you saw that 5 days early access thing.
Still don't have it pre-ordered. We'll pre-order it probably somewhere in around like probably like a week before it drops. Because like you have to pre-order it. I mean, like people in our position, reviewers, we're going to be playing the game day one. We're going to be getting into that. Obviously, we're going to be pre-ordering it so that we
Fair
can
enough.
show you what the game is like. But we don't do that like months ahead because that's just like you take $100, you keep it in your account, your bank account, you at least get a few cents off of the interest on it, right? Like don't give it. Somebody's told me once, they're like, these guys that, these publishers will get all these pre-orders and they will just bank them.
Yeah.
Sometimes stores did it. Like sometimes, like if you're pre-ordering it from a particular store or from a particular website, they don't actually like they don't call up the publisher and be like, hey, one copy for Joe Schmo who lives in Tofield, Indiana. They will just sit on that money.
Yeah.
Because that, like, yeah, that's not a lot of interest when you've got one order. But when you have like 10,000 orders, suddenly you're making decent money off of that monthly interest, especially if you've got like, a professional, like, high interest account. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pre-order. It doesn't serve you. If you're not buying the special super limited physical edition that has like limited numbers of things which I could not get. I tried. We tried. We were going to do a giveaway. That we weren't buying it for ourselves. We were literally going to buy it to do a giveaway, to do a big thing online. Saying, hey, come follow us. We're going to give away a free copy of the. It was gone. It was gone. By the time we made our mind up, it was gone. It's just gone. So yeah. Whew.
That makes sense. Well, guys, did you look at the Avatar Frontiers of Pandora trailer? Or do you share our enthusiasm? Do you share our, cautious optimism, wanting to see a little bit more because, it's an Ubisoft game? Or are you going to pick it up day one? Let us know in the comment section below. All right. Saying on the positivity train for Ubisoft, which is a sentence I never thought I would say out loud. And saying something positive about Star Wars that, isn't followed by the word Mandalorian, although, I've never watched that show, and from what I understand, the newest season isn't that good, or Jedi, Fallen Order / Jedi Survivor. Ubisoft released the trailer for a project that we learned about a couple of years ago, a collaboration between them and Massive Entertainment. We learned that they were going to be working on a Star Wars open world game, and we finally saw it this past week. It is called Star Wars Outlaws. Again, much like Avatar, I have a lot of the same praises to give. Once again, the environments look amazing. The combat looks standard but good. The concept that they're going for, where you can go from different parts of the planet, doing bounties and, being able to escape these giant complexes as sort of like a Han Solo surrogate. And then also being able to fly, not only fly like you can in Avatar, but fly up into the sky and into space. I don't think what they're going for, though, is sort of what they were promising to us like 6 years ago in that Beyond Good and Evil thing where you could fly anywhere on the planet, which is fine. Just as long as, you can fly up and down to a planet and, go to a certain segment of that planet, I would be down with that. And that seems to be what they're giving to us. Space environments look cool. Spaceships look cool. All the characters look cool. It's remarkable that it's an Ubisoft game in the Star Wars universe that it's the first time that I've really truly felt excited for something coming out of Star Wars in a very, very long time. It looks exceptional. Saib, your thoughts?
It does. It looks good.
And speeder bikes. That looked pretty good.
The speeder bike stuff looks great. It looks like a good fleshed out thing. I do hope that there's a character creator. And for those who are going to go, oh my God, don't you want to play blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, I asked for the same thing on the Jedi, the
Jedi Survivor.
previous, the Last Survivor.
Yeah, we're not
I asked
getting
for
that.
the same thing on it. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, like, in a game like this, I do want a character creator. I want to like fine tune what my character looks like, because having played another game that just dropped today for a demo, I was struck by the annoyance of playing a character that doesn't look like somebody that I connect with.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really doesn't make me feel good when I'm playing a game that is beautiful and I just have no connection with the protagonist. And
Sure.
that's why character creators are honestly really good. I think they're like really important. I think they should be in basically every single game, because you put yourself into the game that way. You put your most idealized version of what you want to play in that universe, and I think that's really, really good, even if it's just to tweak some visual aesthetics on the character. I think that's important, and I think we've moved past the time where you're limited in the scope of what you can do as far as character creators go. It's like that was a restraint that was used like 10 years ago when, you know, every byte of data was really important. We're not in that place anymore. I don't know why character creation is such a hard concept for these big companies to wrap their head around. It's like, give us some options. That would just be nice. Just some options would be nice. Any options would be nice.
Yeah.
But past that, the game looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. It's got a good feel for it. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull off a really good feeling world. I've said this before a number of times. It's like when you're playing a Bethesda RPG and you can go in and you can pick up every single wheel of cheese in the entire town and then move them all to another building and make a giant, you know, throne made out of cheese. There is something different to that than a world in which you've got like lots of roaming, but nothing actually changes in the world. There's no you throw a grenade into a room and it goes off, and a few seconds later, you know, all the black soot from the grenade going off just vanishes, and the chest set is still there. All the glasses are still in one piece, like, you know, and everything's just there because it's a static world. So that's the one thing that I didn't see, whether or not this world actually has the ability to change. And I am waiting for the day when you'll be able to blow holes in walls and stuff like that, because I think that's really cool. There was a really awesome movie that who plays Nick Fury again?
Oh, Sam Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson. There's a cool movie that Samuel L. Jackson was in where they were a SWAT team and they were trying to like get to this guy who had barricaded the door. So they just ripped open the side of the building basically with like a modified tank.
Wasn't that movie just called SWAT?
I think it was. I can't remember the actual name of it. But it's like stuff like that is something that obviously I want to see in gaming. You know, Bethesda is stuff included, you know, with this engine, whatever this one is that Ubisoft is using. I want to see that stuff eventually, but I know right now there are some limitations. So depending on the limitations of the open world, that will affect how the RPG feels to me, because literally that kind of stuff, that like small stuff, being able to like pick up a body and just move the body, like that's actually really huge, because in stealth mode gameplay, that's a substantial, like, if the AIs could see that and utilize that, you know, then that changes, and you have that. If that's built into the system, you can always tweak those levels later on with mods and stuff like that to make it like harder or easier, that kind of stuff, because usually it's pretty easy. Like baseline difficulty for most RPGs is actually relatively easy. You can find a way to get most things pretty easily, but that's where I love mods and the ability to like tweak things. So all of that just boils down to what we're going to see coming out of this title. I know it's early, and I know this is the first one. I hope that Ubisoft is turning a corner, because they have had some serious problems recently. and they
Sorry, I
really
was
need a
muted.
good win.
Sorry, I was muted for that.
Oh,
I said
sorry.
they really need to bring it for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So they need a big win here. They need a real big win, and I hope they get it, because I think that there's a lot of people who work for Ubisoft, and not all of them are connected to the idiots, the Neanderthals that were at the top making some of these decisions in the past. Really mean-spirited decisions and stuff like that. It's like, we don't want to see that. We want to see something do good. And I mean, the Star Wars IP in itself needs a win right now too. Like, it's in a real bad way. Like, the fact that you've got Ahsoka looks like it's going to be pretty good, but even regardless of that, like, the Andor series is absolutely amazing. I think Andor is probably the best. I think it is the
Jedi?
best project since the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, it is hands down. If only that had been made, like, I mean, even before the prequel trilogy, like, if only they had done that, I think, and done it in the way that they did it, I think we would be having a completely different experience with Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
Because it really is, it just hits home so good. I was listening to a compilation of the speeches again, because the speeches from Andor are absolutely amazing. Every single one of them just hits so hard and so good. But yeah, they need a win. It needs a win. The IP needs a win. Right now, I think there's a lot of people who are just going meh, right, and shrugging their shoulders, and it's because they have been
So
because the
burned.
fandom has been treated so poorly with things that don't make sense, with changing the rules of how hyperdrive works to squeeze in a story beat, because the writer doesn't understand the world that they're writing for.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not there's no organized villainry who's like going around like, let's hate on this because of X, Y, and Z.
No.
It's not. It has nothing to do with that. It's just bad writing. It's just bad cinematography. It's just bad fight sequences. Like, the fight sequence, I studied under one of the world's greatest swordsmen. Period. I'm not joking. This isn't me fluffing this up. I studied under one of the world's most amazing swordswomen, I should say, because it was a woman. She was a gold medalist in the Olympics multiple times, having beat out competition that was decades younger than her. I studied under her for years, and one of the things that she always talked about was how the sword fighting in the original Star Wars movies, which was actually done by somebody that she knew, was actually one of the best cinematography versions of sword fighting that we've ever seen. Of how real fencing, real saber work actually works, and how they committed to that, and how again, both in the original trilogy and in the prequel, in the prequel.
Whoa! Really? In the prequel trilogy?
Yes, in the prequel, the fight scene between Maul and
sure,
Qui-Gon and
sure,
is actually really good, and a lot of people do miss the and I suspect you'll roll your eyes, but there's the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan at the end there. Especially when they're like just spinning their blades at each other. It's like, you don't understand. That's actually how real saber fights work. When you're fighting somebody who you know really well and you know their moves, you're not clashing blades constantly. You're looking for an opening and you're judging that opening. The sword fighting is not about hitting the other person's sword.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people tend to think of when they think of like lightsaber fighting. It's like, yes, let's slash those swords together. You're actually looking for a way to kill the other person as quickly as you can. So you're not looking to like make like, cool slashes and cool saber effects, which is, really awesome to watch, because that's really, really cool when you actually watch that. But when you're actually like looking to make hits, most saber hits, when you're doing actual saber, so there's foil saber and epee, when you're doing saber fighting, the majority of hits are on your wrist and the other ones are on your head. And when that happens, when either of those, when you're doing real saber work and you cut off a guy's wrist, or when you slice his wrist halfway through, the fight's done.
Yeah.
You win. If you make a good hit on their head, also done. That's how a large majority of those fights ended, when saber was the predominant weapon of the day, which was actually a very short period of time. But yeah, we'll see. Basically,
if only we can get sword fights like that in an actual Star Wars game. Although I don't think as long as
Jedi Academy really did have that, and it's one of the greatest, I think, misses in the Star Wars universe.
Right, but also I want limbs to fall off. But that would never happen as long as
it's for kids, don't you know? It's for kids.
Give me a mod, for God's sake. All right, let's move on to the next game here. Staying with the sci-fi aesthetic, and with another company that is quite adept when it comes to melee fighting, sword fighting and stuff. From Software, probably the current chosen one of gamers all over the world. They consistently give people what they want. Evolution of great gameplay formulas, starting with the original Demon's Souls all the way up until Elden Ring. Well, it's looking like they're going to be going back to one of their old franchises, as we learned recently with Armored Core. They are giving us Armored Core 6 in August. I think we only have... is it less than 2 months? It might just be over 2 months.
Coming out on August 24th.
Wow.
I don't know what I'm going to do because I don't have enough time to play all these games.
Yeah. 24th, and then Starfield comes out on the 6th, right? So that's less than 2 weeks to beat Armored Core 6.
I'll have less than 5 days to play Armored Core before I switch to Baldur's Gate, and then I have approximately 30 hours to play that before I'm playing Starfield. It's seriously, oh man.
Somebody needs to tell these guys that the month of November exists.
Well, somebody also needs to have mentioned, I don't know how, Disney, not Disney. Oh, good Lord, not Disney. No, Blizzard and Activision, they got so lucky dropping Diablo in the early spring here, where there was nothing else to play at all. Basically nothing else to play. Some smaller stuff, yes, and then some really bad, we had the bad Star Wars game, which
Gollum
got fixed.
Yeah.
We had the terrible Gollum, which didn't get fixed, and we've had a couple other bummers. But my goodness, if you had seen that or known that or were able to put that together, and if you had managed to get any of these games out just a few months earlier, just before this rush, you would probably have made a ton of money. Right now, it's I don't know. A lot of people are saying they're going to have to pick between one of 7 games because they just don't have the budget to get 3 of them running at at $80 to $90 each, right?
And they all look great. Armored Core 6, spoiler alert, Armored Core 6 looks great. Baldur's Gate 3 is great. Starfield looks great. Alan Wake 2 looks great. Lies of P looks great. And there's a couple other ones that I can't remember off the top of my... which one's coming out 3 days after Alan Wake? Cyberpunk 2077. Liberty.
Cyberpunk's got its thing coming out, and it's a lot of people saying I'm hearing
good things.
I'm hearing stuff. I'm talking to people, and they're saying, look, this is a complete redo. That's why it took so long. This is a complete, from the ground up. We've rebuilt, a lot of stuff.
Hopefully that justifies why it's been 3 years.
I hope that's true. I really do, but I am sorry. I'm not. I don't think any of us are gonna be playing that day one because, again, of just how much they burned us in the past and how difficult it was. It's we have got to see somebody else going, okay, it looks like things are here, and then mods. I mean, a lot of those mods that fixed a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of really, really, really amazing mods out there. Hopefully we'll probably wait until a lot of those are back online because again, it's like a lot of the stuff that they promised which we didn't get. A lot of the stuff that's really, really core and really, really important is kind of like necessary. You know, so I don't know. We'll see. But no, Armored Core 6 looks amazing.
Yeah,
it looks really good.
They released a gameplay trailer for that this past week. I don't remember like which showcase it was at, if it was at any of them, or if From Software just released it on their own volition. It was a packed week last week, guys. It's like gaming Christmas, the first week of June, and with the PlayStation showcase slightly before that. But yeah, game looks fantastic. It reminds me so much of the Nier Automata mech battles, man. But with a game completely dedicated to that, with wide open environments, and according to the breakdowns that we got from people like VatiVidya and Young, it's going to be incorporating a lot of the traditional mechanics from the Soulsborne games. So, for example, from what I understand, and I say this as somebody who's never played an Armored Core game, it's going to have something like an equivalent to an Estus flask, which is what they're calling a repair. What else? They're going to have stagger bars, so stamina bars that you have to break, kind of like Sekiro for like all the little bosses as well as the mini bosses, and that seems to look like it works pretty well. And then, like everything else, the baseline combat looks great. Environments look expansive and detailed, and you can fly all over the place. And as you would expect for people, who have played Armored Core games, everything looks like you can customize your mech down to the finest detail. There's the basic stuff and then the really complicated stuff. And then you can go for the exact build that you think will help you survive in these very specific situations. Looks wonderful. I'm going to pick it up, even though I think I'm probably going to have to put it down after a couple hours, because it looks like that game's going to be the kind that gives me a heart attack. Same with Sekiro. But because it's From Software, I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to play with my wife. What do you think, Seb?
I think this is one of the best looking mech games in a long time, because sadly, it's one of the only mech games we've had in a really long time. Which really sucks. It really sucks that one of the best mech games out there right now is a mobile game, but it is legitimately, it's got that mech combat really nailed down, and it is really fun. I had to stop playing it because I was getting a wee bit too serious in it. I ranked number 1 in the world like 3 times, and I was like,
what?
Oh, I should probably stop playing this game. It's taking over my life. So so it's a solid. This is a solid addition to it. I don't like the speed. I'm not a fan of the speed, of super fast mechs. I do prefer the mech warrior style, where it is like they're fast in comparison. Like they're way faster than a car driving, but at the same time, you're 1,000 times the size of a car. So you're moving with heavy weight. You just can't turn on a dime and that kind of stuff. I prefer that. A lot of people are saying, oh no, that doesn't matter to me. So it's it's fine. This is Armored Core. That's what it is. I'm still going to give it a go because it looks fantastic. And mech games are one of my favorite of all time genres. And I'm serious. I go really hard on mech games. I really, really love them. But we'll see with this one. Again, it's one of those ones where it's I'm going to have so little time to try this out. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to dedicate into it, and then we'll see kind of where it goes from there. But I do like this. I did. There was a couple of the that type of genre of game, the Souls where it's really difficult. I haven't gotten involved in a lot of them, but the ones that I have, it's I always enjoy them. I like them. It's a great challenge. So I'm looking forward to this. I just wish it was coming out November or January. January would be a great time for it.
At least 2 weeks earlier. Come on.
Yeah. Or if it come out a month ago. Oh my god, if it come out a month ago, that would.
Oh yeah, I'd be playing the crap out of that right now. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
It would have been beautiful.
That or Final Fantasy 16.
And I really hope, and I think we're going to see a ton of mods from this.
Hope so.
And I can't I can't tell you how excited for modding for this I am, because you think of every single anime mech show that you've ever seen. We're going to get mods of it all, and we're going to get combat tweaks and all that kind of stuff. I'm super excited.
There's going to be 1,000 Gundam mods, and I swear, if there's a Power Ranger Zord mod, I am getting the crap out of that.
I am pretty sure Power Ranger Zord mod is already in. I would guesstimate that's probably going to be, probably like one of the top. One of the first like 50 mods.
No doubt.
Easily one of the first 50 mods for sure. That and like all the other ones. And which one is it? Witch from Mercury? I have it pulled up on my watch list here. Witch from Mercury. It's part of the Mobile Suit Gundam. Yeah. Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. Apparently that show is absolutely popping off. I have not started it yet. I keep pulling it up to get ready for it, but it's like, apparently that's absolutely popping off, and everybody should check that out. So I think this is gonna be great.
There's no reason to doubt that it won't be. Like I said, when was the last time that From Software gave us a bad game? Like pre-2009? Yeah. So, because that's when Demon's Souls came out. All right. Did you guys see the Armored Core 6 stuff? Let us know what you think in the description box below. I'd be curious to see if there are people that don't like it. Like, or if there are any like hardcore Armored Core fans that saw it and didn't like it. Just to, let us know. Just, be civil about it. All right. Side. Starfield is a thing. It's coming out soon. And there have been updates ever since that wonderful, wonderful direct trailer that we got last week. What are those? Something about like, what is it? Frames per minute, something? Second?
Yeah, so the big argument is the FPS thing, and so I got kind of fiery with this a little bit.
Okay.
On the Twitter and in our Discord, I laid down, and it's like, look, I have no time nor energy to debate people who say that the most important thing to them, period, is having a game play at 240 frames per second and having 4K graphics. And that being they're like, this, I must have this, or I refuse to play video games at all. And then they go out and they buy a $400 console. I'm sorry, I know that some people are budget strapped, but if you're expecting a game to run at 240 frames per second on a $400 console, you're out to lunch.
Okay, were there actually people that were making that argument?
Oh yeah. There was a lot. Maybe not necessarily the 240, but the 120, because they were comparing it to Spider-Man, and they were saying Spider-Man can handle 120 4K. That's not true. Spider-Man has a 120 mode that downranks the graphics to below, I think it's 1080p. So it's below 1080p for the graphics. So it's not even rendering 2K.
I don't even think it's 120p. I think it's just 60. If I'm not mistaken.
No, it's 120 is the performance mode. So they have a mode for the game for it on the PlayStation that does 120, but that 120 is performance mode, which means the graphics are being drawn between the 780 and 1080p range.
Okay.
Basically.
All right.
So there is that. They do have a 60K 4K mode, but the field of the view distance is shrouded. So you're only seeing that in a localized bubble around your character. Yeah. And also a reminder that when you are playing at 60 FPS on that game and you're doing the missions and whatnot, again, that your load distance isn't nearly as far. So that's something to remember. And again, I'm not trashing Spider-Man. I think that game looks amazing. And is it annoying that there was a promise from Microsoft that this is going to be 60 FPS at 4K? There was a promise for that. That is on Microsoft for being idiots for promising that when it doesn't make any sense. But the decision to go with 30 FPS for Starfield was so that you're not running into a problem. And again, we'll see if this is true or not. What they want to avoid is they can set it up to 60, but there will be moments and there will be times that it's going to drop back down to about 40, and you're going to have stuttering. Now, when I hear people talk about this, and forgive me, I closed one of my tabs by accident.
Okay.
There was a particular group of there's a particular YouTube channel and magazine guys who do tech qualifications. They got their hands on Starfield.
Oh, really?
And they said that the game is smoother and has a better transition. They put it through the punches on their console, on the Xbox. They put it through the punches. They really tried to like stress it out, and the game was handling itself marvelously well. They said it was one of the best running games they've seen on the new Xbox console, and that the smoothness is there despite a lot of what you're doing. Now, that's not the same when you're comparing it to other games, certain FPS shooters to, from big corporations to kind of point the finger at here, where when a lot of stuff is going on at the screen, you suddenly have that frame drop. Now, what would you prefer? Do you prefer a stable, unless you're trying to intentionally screw it up by stealing every sandwich in the universe and loading them into a small room and then running through it to create a wave of sandwich goodness? Are you trying
Which we're all gonna do?
Yeah, which we're all gonna do, of course, because why not? But in the normal range of play, do you prefer a game that is constantly rubber banding between 30 and 60, or would you prefer a game that just sticks exactly at 30 and manages to do that with excellent smoothness?
Can I be honest? In response to that, I want the option. Yeah.
And that makes sense, right? Now you have that option because you've got a PC, right?
Well, for the consoles too. I think,
and again, that's Microsoft's fault, obviously, for that. Now, I don't know. Again, it's one of those things where I don't know if there was some kind of limitation for that, or if they were running into problems. From what I understand from the tech guys who did this review, which I will try and find, they said that the biggest hamper to the game isn't the GPU. It's actually the processor, because of all of the things that the physics in the world is doing within the game. Yeah. One of the things is, and again, Todd Howard talked about this when he was talking about one of his experiences with the games. And apparently this is a thing, especially for stealth build. You can get onto a planet, sneak onto another person's ship. That ship can take off with you inside of it. And in most games that have tried to do this in the past, as soon as you hit that load screen area, you just fall through the ship and then you fall to your death. In Starfield, you're on that ship. Not only are you on that ship, if that ship jumps to another system that's further away, you can artificially get yourself further away from the core systems, and then it's an adventure to get yourself back again. That, to me, is that sounds like an amazing experience. 100%. This sounds like an amazing experience that I would love to have inside of a huge universe game.
Sure.
That has just hundreds of planets and cool things that you can do. Sneaking on board a ship, I mean, that's really cool. I can't wait till I get a mod where I can play as an alien and then just slowly infect the other members of the crew, and then until I'm literally playing out the alien fantasy. That's going to be great.
Mm.
Because that's something you can do. Well, with mods, once that comes. But the point of what I'm saying is that there's a lot going on in this game. There's so much going on in this game, and there's so many things that they've done to create a world that is extraordinarily open in ways that most people have never experienced before, and in a way that I think realistically is beyond expectations. And again, we'll see if that follows through. There's a lot of we'll sees on this, because again, Bethesda hasn't. earned
Yeah.
that trust, because after 76 they really dropped the ball on that. And so yeah, there's problems with it, obviously, but at the same time, I'm seeing that there's some people who are making unreasonable expectational demands, right? If the most important thing to you, and you're somebody who spends around $3,000 a month on entertainment, if you're demanding that your console, $400 console, is able to do this, just get a PC.
Sure.
Like,
Stop being a
I mean,
fanboy.
come on. Like, it's a little ridiculous. And the other reminder, again, I'm not letting Microsoft off the hook here. Microsoft needs to stop making these stupid promises.
Yep.
Like, they really need to stop that. It's really pointless to keep doing this. Like, stop making ridiculous promises that your tech guys are going home, and well, they're not going home. That's part of the problem. They're like, oh guys, I guess we're gonna be sicking around the office again for the next 3 weeks straight because some dumbass made a promise on a thing on Twitter, and now we got to stick with it. It's like, obviously that's a problem, and obviously that's a them problem, not a you the consumer problem. The you the consumer problem is if you have the budget and you are saying that this is the most important thing to me, I require this, then get that. That's your prerogative. That's you as a consumer. That's what you do. If you can't get that because of budget reasons and you were lied to, again, that's not good.
Just be consistent and accurate with your outrage.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it was like, I called out one guy particularly because he just made this post earlier in the week where it was like, I spent $3,000 on this, I spent $2,000 on my bar tab every month, and yet he's complaining that his $400 console can't run the biggest game of the, I'm going to say it, probably of the generation.
Maybe, yeah.
This is probably going to be the biggest game we're going to see, because again, we've got a lot of games taking places on planets, and maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of them. This game has so many different planets, and again, we'll see if this folds out. If it bombs, it bombs, right? And I'm not gonna hold back. I'm gonna call it if it bombs. But if it doesn't, this is a game that people have been asking for. Star Citizen. Where is Star Citizen, that promised this stuff ages ago and has not? They have not come up with a reasonable product since those promises, and it's been over a decade.
Yeah,
hasn't been like almost like,
I think it was 2012. Yeah, when it was announced.
Yeah, it's over a decade now, and they haven't been able to come up with anything. And meanwhile, here's Bethesda pumps this out in 4 years. It's like, wow, that's some pretty advanced stuff on. As far as that goes. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. Again, there are some great stuff. The more you dig into the trailers, we're gonna do a trailer deep dive here pretty soon.
Cool.
We had some family stuff, and Father's Day was yesterday, and all that stuff. Yeah, we're recording this on the Monday, so there's a lot of cool stuff that's going on. There's a lot of really important factors that are in the game that looks really amazing. There's tons of things that we can see that's really, really has opened up the universe. And I suspect strongly that if this tech like really holds out, I think we're going to see a formation of this in the next Elder Scrolls game. Imagine being able to go to any of the other realms, like, go to Oblivion, explore all of the Daedric realms in the next Elder Scrolls.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but Howard did hint at something of that magnitude, because he said, I'm paraphrasing him, but he said, like, if I were to tell you what we're doing with Elder Scrolls 6, they would be like, how would you have the tech to manage that?
Exactly.
Something like that.
So for a lot of people who said that they had to drop this engine, that this engine was garbage, and that there was no way they could possibly save it. A lot of those people are going to have egg on their face when they see that this is capable of doing something that Unreal Engine can't even dream of trying to do at this moment.
Well, and I mean, I get your sentiment, but Unreal Engine 5 is pretty impressive. But Yeah.
It is. They're both very impressive engines. I'm not saying that they're not. What I'm saying is that the people who were dancing on the grave of the Bethesda's engine
Sure.
just after 4 launch, saying that this is a garbage engine, nobody wants to surround it, can't do anything. It's
Well,
like,
it's not the same engine anymore, though, is it?
no, they've had significant upgrades, and of course,
Right.
but that's the beauty of the engine, is that they were able to take things out modularly and just plug in new, better tech.
Yep.
And it's still so easy. I was talking with a guy, and he says that the modding capability is still just as friendly. There's way more options, there's way more things, but the modding capability of Starfield is going to outsurpass the previous games by far.
Good.
You're going to be able to do things with the mods and the animation engine that are just going to make the whole process so much more simpler when it comes to adding stuff to it. So we'll see whether that pans out. That'll be a lot longer, obviously, after post-release, once we get that. But the team is committed that they're going to be bringing out mod tools, and the mod tools will make this game night and day difference between what it is currently and what it can ultimately grow into once you have tens of thousands of modders working on this stuff for years.
Yeah.
So I am super excited. This is the most I'm excited for a game in a long time. I think between this and the AI tech that's coming down the road, we potentially have like real amazing technology here that's going to be really, really awesome for a very long period of time.
Less than 3 months, guys. All right. And that does it for that. And then let's just wrap up with these couple of updates.
So, quick update for all of you who were like, wow, all these games at the Game Expos are really, really cool. When can I play them? Your answer's today.
Never.
Today. Most of the games that you saw on the showcases last week, over 100 demos have been dropped on Steam in the last 24 hours when you're listening to this. Steam is doing their Steam Next Fest. A lot of the games that we saw, a lot of them that we were really excited for, like Atomic Picnic, not Warhaven, sorry, I'm trying to get the name here. I think it's just Haven, the big medieval fighting game. Those got demos today, so aka Monday. There's a ton of really cool looking RPGs. Etern Knights, which is a horror based. You'd love this one, Max. It's like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and Persona 3 just had a baby.
What? That sounds awesome.
And it's been streaming for about 10 hours. When I was watching it earlier today, there was a stream that had been going for 10 hours covering it, playing through the game. This is the demo, and it was absolutely jaw-dropping. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. The combat in it is really good. The storytelling, they have cutscenes that go from in-engine to straight up anime, so straight up like traditional animation, and then back again, and it's seamless, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And again, it's a horror game, so it looks horrific, it looks nightmarish, the characters, the everything going on, and it's just amazing. It's like, oh my god, amazing. All of these demos are for free. You don't have to pre-order, you don't have to do anything like that. There are hundreds of them that have dropped today, and there's going to be hundreds more of them dropping over the next few days. So it's literally, we can't even talk about all of the different games that we're seeing because there's just an unending amount of them. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up one. Viewfinder, that's the one I was looking for. Viewfinder, yes. Got an update, got a demo. You can literally play Viewfinder right now. It is absolutely gorgeous, spectacular. I was messing around with it a little bit, and it's gorgeous. Everything that you saw in the trailer that we got last week, it's all there, and it's super smooth. It looks absolutely amazing. And there's tons and tons of other games. It is Warhaven. Yeah, I did screw that up. It is Warhaven. Okay. The Invincible got a demo, so you could play the demo for Invincible right now. And again, hundreds of other games have demos right now on Steam. It's pretty darn amazing. And then to top all of this news off, Baldur's Gate
Yeah.
decided to drop a browser-based murder mystery based inside Baldur's Gate from decades before what happens in Baldur's Gate 3 happens. And it is a live, real-time murder mystery game. So the community votes on where they want to open up the investigations to go into next as you play through the game. This is a great way if you're curious about Baldur's Gate, you want to actually learn about the city that the game is going to end up taking the majority of the time and space in. Get this now. Like this is you jump into this now. You'll be able to learn, read, interact with characters. This is really cool. And again, they just dropped this without any warning at all. It's like, oh, hey, by the way, here's a murder mystery for you all to solve as a community. And as a community, you will vote on decisions that affect the game. So this is so cool. This is so awesome. We were thinking about streaming it a little bit, but we'll probably do that later in the week once more of the map has opened up so that you can actually kind of like see everything. Right now, there's only a few locations and the starting quest, because it literally dropped today, and I think it's probably about 15 hours from now, the next section will be opened up according to what gets the most votes, and then we will move into that section, and that will open up new fields of investigation. So cool!
Cool.
Absolutely, yeah, just absolutely floored me when I saw this. This, like, it was like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, this is out. It's like, what? Why did you guys, like... Why? Like, why?
We're gonna play Baldur's Gate 3 when it comes out, because everything that I've ever heard about this company and the way that they've been, providing content updates and constant interaction with the fans is a standard that I wish more larger companies would adopt. And on that basis, I am going to get it, and we are going to play it, even though we will have very little time to play it. But yeah. All right, guys.
It's one of those games that we're going to be able to do GM situations with. So I get to make a custom experience for you.
Cool.
And then we can sit down and play that in a GM session. That's coming eventually, not at release, but it's coming post that.
Yeah.
So there'll be a content creator there, creation content for like GMs to play with their friends. And that's got me that's always been the most exciting thing, because I'm going to give you a spoon, a boot, and a bucket, and I'm gonna have you like kill a minotaur with that.
Okay.
So
I'm glad that your faith in me is that high. All right. Well, guys, that does it for this episode of Maximum News. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to give this video a like if you liked the particular episode, because when you do that, it tells the YouTube algorithm that not only this video, but all the other videos on the Triple S podcast channel are worth watching. I want to thank Syb, as always, for doing this show with me. Syb, do you want to tell people about the main channel before we tune out?
Yeah, check out the Triple S League and Scenometry. Scenometry. Ash has been working really hard on this new channel. He has always been a huge fan of Futurama and other shows, and he's going to be covering Futurama and other shows. Right now it's just Futurama. He's doing a deep dive into episodes showcasing things that you have probably never noticed before, and all of the cool related stuff with that, and they're doing really amazing. So please check that out. It's just taken off like crazy in the last few days here, so we're really excited about that.
So that's who El Chupanibre really was. And you guys can just find me at all just the regular forms of social media, just at Max Derrat. I will put links to that and everything that Syb just mentioned in the description box below. Thanks, guys, and until we do this again next week, I want to remind you, as always and as per usual, stay yellow.